Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Investments in startup activity in agricultural technology, known as AgTech, is booming. Today we have Bay Area-based Adam Litle, CEO of Sound Agriculture. Adam, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks, and tell us why this sector is catching the interest of private equity and venture capitalists.
Hi, Jill. Great to join you. Thanks for the time. So AgTech, and I'd say food tech broadly, is booming for two primary reasons. One is there's just a huge sustainability and environmental benefit story that we have with food. About 25% of greenhouse gas emissions come from food and agriculture in some way. And as we increase focus there, consumers and governments see a big opportunity to make some positive changes. And you also have an opportunity to make a lot of money, because this is one of those spaces and industries that has not yet been disrupted by technology. The incumbents and the leaders of agriculture have really been in place for the last 10, 20, 50 plus years, whereas in almost every other industry, from finance to real estate to construction, you're starting to see some major disruption. And so just like you saw software, biotech, and other things in other industries come in and change things up, you're going to see that in food. And it's an $8 trillion industry. And people realize that when it comes to both food and agriculture. So a lot of profit opportunity as well.
Yeah, that is a huge number, and it's quite clear that the stakes are high for getting this right. And Adam, my question to you is, why is a sustainable food system so important besides that, $8 trillion amount?
Well, the first is just the raw numbers in terms of how much carbon dioxide comes out of the system, as well as nitrous oxide. So there's a variety of chemicals used in agriculture, some of which seep into the waterways, others volatilize into the air. And nitrous oxide, which comes from application and often over application of nitrogen fertilizer for growing row crops, is 300 times as potent as carbon dioxide in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a lesser known chemical, but one that we really have to think about tackling. So if you look at the broad opportunity to combat climate change and help the environment, automobiles is a slightly larger one. But other than that, food and ag is really the one we have to target. And that's a variety of things like plant-based food, like more efficient fertilizer usages, and like more efficient logistics, and just growing more on less land.
And the food system is complex, and there are a lot of different aspects at play. What is your approach to effecting meaningful change?
Yeah, so at Sound Agriculture, we really are working to make a more agile and resilient agriculture system that's going to meet both these environmental and consumer needs. And I recognize that's a very broad statement. And so what does that really mean? And how do we do this? At core, we're a biotech company. And so we have two technology platforms with that science. One works above ground for improving crops and plants, and the other works below ground for improving the interaction of plants with the soil microbiome. And so let's think about the soil first and foremost. The dirt under our feet is incredibly important to keep healthy, and there's a lot of potential for using what's in there already to enhance plant health and increase yields. So what we do is we have a green chemistry that gets applied on crops at the same time as other things farmers are doing, so it's really easy for them to do. And it stimulates the existing bacteria in the soil that then fix nitrogen and solubilize phosphorus. So simple analogy is, think of it like caffeine for the microbes already in the soil without adding anything new. And then those microbes just do their job better. And that means you don't have to apply as much synthetic nitrogen, and you get higher yields. So it's a really elegant way of using the natural system more to the benefit of mankind.
And Adam,
the plants, just to complete the story, we have an ability to increase the rate of plant trait development. So without using genetic modification, we can tune gene expression to do things like better tasting crops, more higher shelf life, more sustainable crops. And that's a really exciting new frontier called epigenetics that we're on the forefront of.
All right, and to continue on that theme, Adam, and to wrap up here, what's your vision for the future for yourselves and ultimately for the industry?
Well, we have some pretty lofty goals by 2025, reducing over a megaton of greenhouse gas emissions, carbon equivalent. And we can do that by reducing as much as a third of the nitrogen used on farms. That's equivalent to 200 million cars on the road. So big global opportunity. And on the plant trait side, it's about tastier, healthier, more sustainable food, better for people and the planet. And so we've done things like a longer shelf life, better taste in heirloom tomato, really get that taste of a farmer's market tomato, but in the grocery store in a scalable way through better genetics, as well as things like a non-bruising, non-browning potato. So for example, the chipping industry, just standard potato chips you buy, they waste about 15% of potatoes that go into those because of slight bruising. And we can actually improve that through more natural mechanisms in the plant genetics itself, and thus have better sustainability and ultimately lower cost for producers and consumers. So we're working on a lot of stuff, but those are just two good examples of where we're headed in the next few years.
All right, Adam, appreciate the insight. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jim.